It all started on a quiet Tuesday morning, the kind that felt ordinary in every sense. Sarah sat at her hotel desk, the sun just peeking through the Denver skyline. Coffee in one hand, her phone in the other. She smiled as she typed a message meant for her husband. "Good morning, love. Hope you slept well." She hesitated, then deleted it. No, she wanted to surprise him. Sarah had been in Denver for a business conference, one that had been planned for months. She was supposed to be away for 5 days, but that morning, something changed. The keynote speaker fell ill, and the entire event wrapped up 2 days early. Most people were thrilled to get extra days off for Sarah. It felt like fate giving her the perfect chance. She hadn't seen her husband, Terrence, in almost a week. They had been married for 8 years, years filled with laughter, a few tears, and a constant, patient hope for something more, a child. They had been trying for 3 years, and each negative test had chipped away at them quietly. But Sarah had good news now. She had just gotten word about a potential promotion at work, one that would ease their financial stress and maybe give them the freedom to try new fertility options. She imagined the look on Terrence's face when she told him. He'd be proud. He'd smile, that big, boyish grin that used to melt her heart. She packed quickly, humming to herself. She stopped by the airport shop, picked up a box of his favorite dark chocolates and a bottle of his favorite red wine, a small celebration waiting to happen. Her heart fluttered as she boarded the flight, already picturing his surprise. The 2-hour trip felt longer than usual. She kept checking her phone, fighting the urge to text him. She wanted the moment to be perfect. She wanted to see the look in his eyes when he realized she came home early just for him. By the time she landed, evening was slowly settling in. The city lights sparkled outside the taxi window as she neared home. She smiled to herself, clutching the bottle in one hand and her purse in the other. "He's going to love this," she whispered. But as the cab turned onto Maple Street, something felt off. There were several cars parked along the curb more than usual. Terrence's sedan sat in its usual spot, but next to it was a white compact she recognized immediately, Diana's car. Her best friend. Her sister in all but blood. Sarah frowned slightly. Diana was always welcome. She had a key, in fact, but it was odd. It was late on a weekday, and she hadn't mentioned stopping by. The cab slowed to a stop, and Sarah's eyes flicked to the other vehicles. A few she didn't recognize at all. "Maybe he's hosting something for work?" she murmured. "He would have told me, right?" She paid the driver, pulled her suitcase up the driveway, and paused. The faint hum of laughter drifted from the backyard, cheerful, relaxed voices. A party? She hesitated at the door. The porch light was on, the living room window glowing softly. Everything looked tidy, too tidy. Fresh flowers sat on the coffee table when she peeked through the side window. Someone had definitely cleaned. Sarah unlocked the door quietly. The house smelled incredible, something rich and buttery roasting in the oven. There was music playing faintly, a mix of soulful jazz and laughter. She smiled, shaking her head. Maybe it really was a surprise for her. Maybe Terrence knew the conference ended early somehow and decided to flip the script. But then she heard something that made her pause mid-step. A woman's voice, cheerful, familiar, saying something about nursery colors. Then another voice, a man's voice, chuckled and said, "I think yellow and white would be perfect for the baby." Sarah froze. Her heart thudded once, hard, in her chest. "No, that can't be right," she whispered. Her mind scrambled to make sense of it. Maybe one of their friends was expecting. Maybe Diana? Her pulse quickened as she stepped closer to the kitchen doorway. What she saw next almost made her drop the bottle she was holding. The kitchen was decorated. Pale yellow and white streamers draped across the ceiling. Balloons floated lazily against chair backs. On the island sat a large white cake with yellow icing. Gifts wrapped neatly in pastels were piled high on the counter. And hanging just above the sliding glass doors leading to the patio was a banner. It read in cheerful letters, "Welcome, baby Thompson." Thompson, her last name. Terrence's last name. She blinked hard, thinking maybe she misread it. But no, there it was. Clear and cruel. For a moment, her body wouldn't move. Her brain was running in slow motion, trying to catch up with what her eyes were seeing. Laughter floated in again, louder this time, from the backyard. She recognized the voices now: Terrence's deep chuckle, Diana's light giggle. The sound that used to make her smile now felt like a knife twisting slowly in her chest. Her feet carried her forward without permission. Each step felt heavier than the last. She slid open the glass door, and the laughter around the patio slowly faded. Heads turned. Conversations broke off one by one until the only sound left was the faint hiss of the grill. 20 or so people stood, frozen neighbors, a few of Terrence's co-workers, even his mother. Terrence stood by the grill in the apron she bought him last Christmas, flipping burgers and smiling wide. He looked so happy, so alive. And beside him stood Diana, glowing, radiant in a yellow dress that framed her unmistakable baby bump. For a split second, Sarah thought she must be dreaming. Maybe she was still on the plane. Maybe she hadn't woken up. But then Terrence turned, his hand resting gently on Diana's belly, and he said something that shattered the last fragile piece of her denial. "I still can't believe I'm going to be a dad," he laughed, kissing Diana's forehead. The crowd smiled and clapped softly. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to scream, to run, to wake up. But she stood there, silent, watching her husband and her best friend celebrate the child they made together. Her voice finally broke through the numbness. "Terrence." It came out barely above a whisper, but it sliced through the quiet like thunder. Every head turned. Terrence's face drained of color. Diana gasped. Sarah's suitcase toppled beside her with a dull thud. What is this?" she asked, her voice trembling, eyes darting between the two of them. No one spoke. Finally, Diana stepped forward, her hand instinctively covering her belly. "Sarah, I can explain." "Explain?" Sarah's laugh was hollow. "Explain how my husband and my best friend are having a baby together? In my house?" Terrence started toward her. "Sarah, please, listen. It's not what it looks like." She raised a hand, shaking. "Then what is it, Terrence? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like betrayal." Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall, not yet. Terrence tried again, reaching out, but she stepped back. "Don't." The guests started whispering, some awkwardly slipping away, others frozen in disbelief. His mother looked mortified, clutching her purse. Sarah turned her gaze to Diana. "How long?" Diana's lips quivered. "Sarah, please." "How long?" Diana looked down. "About 6 months." 6 months? Sarah's breath hitched. That meant all those nights she'd cried to Diana about struggling to conceive, Diana already knew. She was already pregnant with his child. The pain was unbearable. It was betrayal layered upon betrayal. She could barely feel her legs, the world around her blurred. She turned to leave, her heart pounding in her ears. Terrence called after her. "Wait, please, let me talk to you." She didn't look back. "Talk to her, Terrence," she said quietly. "She's the one carrying your future now." And with that, she walked out, leaving them both standing there, the picture of their own guilt. Sarah didn't remember the drive to her sister's house that night. She just remembered the sound of her heartbeat echoing in her ears, and the image of Diana's swollen belly flashing in her mind like a nightmare she couldn't shut off. The next morning, she woke up on the couch with swollen eyes and a dull ache in her chest. The reality of what had happened slowly settled in. She wasn't dreaming. Her husband had truly gotten her best friend pregnant. She ignored his calls. The messages came one after another: apologies, explanations, promises to make things right. But there was no making it right. When she finally answered days later, her voice was steady. "Terrence, you made your choice. Live with it. He broke down on the phone, swearing it was a mistake, saying he didn't mean for it to happen, that he still loved her. But love didn't excuse betrayal. Diana tried reaching out too. Dozens of texts poured in, all saying the same thing, that she was sorry, that it just happened, that she didn't mean to hurt her. But Sarah couldn't bring herself to respond. Not because she hated them, but because she no longer recognized either of them. Months passed. The divorce papers went through quietly. She didn't attend the baby shower, didn't respond when Diana finally gave birth. She focused on rebuilding her life, little by little. Work, therapy, early morning walks that turned into long runs. Slowly, she felt her spirit return, scarred. Yes, but stronger. One day, she bumped into Terrence's mother at the grocery store. The woman looked older, weary. "Sarah," she said softly, "I just wanted you to know. My son regrets everything." That woman, she stopped herself, sighed. She left him, took the baby and left town. He's alone now. Sarah blinked. She didn't know what to feel: satisfaction, sadness, closure, maybe a bit of all three. She smiled faintly. I hope he learned something from it. When she walked out of that store, the sun felt different, warmer, freer. She realized she didn't need revenge or an apology anymore. She had already won by choosing peace. And though the scars of that betrayal would always remain, they became reminders not of weakness, but of strength. Because when Sarah's world fell apart, she didn't shatter with it. She rebuilt herself from the pieces they left behind. And that, perhaps, was the greatest revenge of all. So if you've ever been broken by someone you trusted, remember this: healing doesn't come from hurting them back. It comes from walking away, holding your head high, and refusing to let their betrayal define your worth. Thanks for watching, everyone. Drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and always trust your peace.